just when you thought it was safe to go back to Microtech. Oh, not good, not good! Here we go!
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is Adalla. The annual Star Citizen Intergalactic Aerospace Expo ship sale on Microtech is nearly upon us. The expo runs from November 19th to December 1st, 2021. During this time, Star Citizen will be free to play, over 100 ships will be free to test, there will be new ship announcements, there will be special edition vehicle paints and in-game items. This will be the first IAE which I will be attending, and I don't know about you, but I will be likely buying some ships. So whether you have never played Star Citizen before or are considering buying your first ship beyond the starter pledge package, let's take a look at what Star Citizen has to offer and help make an informed decision on what to purchase on the store and what to leave to be purchased with in-game currency that can be earned by doing missions.
Commander, let's do it. I've always wanted to do this! Oh! This is intense!
The Aegis Gladius is the only ship that I have pledged for and bought with real money. And I've generally bought ships in-game through missions. However, I do believe in supporting CIG financially so that they may continue developing the game. And I will be buying a ship at this upcoming IAE. And intend to narrow down from the list of 100 plus ships that are available to a couple that I'm interested in. I'll be sharing the process that I'm going through to do that, and I'm interested to know also what your own may be, and if you could share that in the comments below, I'll be interested to hear about them. Star Citizen is a game that employs a balanced offering of ships that is largely based on two things: role and size. There is no single overpowered ship that does it all. The Bengal carrier comes as close to that in a combat role, but it is not purchasable or easily accessible to players. It is generally in the service of the UEE Navy, and the only time that a player will be able to serve on one is probably in Squadron 42 as part of the single-player campaign. Ships such as the Merchantman, Orion, and Pioneer have special roles and capabilities that even the mighty Bengal is unable to perform. In Star Citizen, there is generally an inverse relationship between size and capability. The larger the ship, the more it is capable to do. The smaller the ship, the less it is able to do, and the more it needs to specialize in a specific role. The other strong relationship is between size, crew, and cost. The larger the ship, the more crew is required to operate it, and the higher the cost to purchase and operate it. The basic golden rule for choosing a ship in Star Citizen is this: buy a ship that matches the gameplay objective you desire for the crew size you intend to bring with you. Ships can be broadly classified into three categories based on size and include solo ships such as the Aurora, small crew ships, which include anything from 4 to 9 crew members, such as the Carrack, and finally, the third is the capital class ships, which are ships that require 15 or more crew members generally, such as the Idris. Ships can further be grouped by role. These include combat, which can be further subdivided into anti-fighter for ships such as the Hammerhead, the Redeemer, and fighters. Anti-capital ship, such as bombers, the Perseus and the Polaris, long-range combat, such as the Kraken or the Liberator, close quarters combat, such as the Idris or Hammerhead, and electronic warfare, such as the Sentinel. Next we have mining and refining, and ships in this category include the Orion, the Mole, and the Prospector. Then we have cargo hauling. The Hull series, the Hercules series, and the Caterpillar are examples of ships in this category. Commerce and mobile marketplace. These are ships such as the Merchantman and the Kraken Privateer. Then we have base/outpost manufacturing and construction, such as, well, the only ship in this category would be the Pioneer. Next we have salvage, which is a ship like the Reclaimer. Then we have repair, resupply, and refuel. Ships in this category would be like the Starfarer, the Crucible, the Kraken, and the Liberator. Exploration and multi-role. These are ships such as the Carrack, the Corsair, the 890 Jump, the 600i, the 400i, the Constellation series, and the Cutlass Black. Interdiction would be ships like the Mantis and the Cutlass Blue. Bounty hunting would be, again, Cutlass Blue or Anvil Hawk. And search and rescue ships such as the Cutlass Red. Each ship in Star Citizen comes with a set of capabilities, tools, features, and facilities. Generally speaking, the larger the ship, the more capabilities it has, and the less compromises it must make. For example, an Idris can engage in long-range combat by deploying its fighters. It can engage in close-range combat by using its turrets and railgun. It can haul 831 SCU of cargo. It can accommodate a large crew, and has almost every onboard facility that one may want, including a med bay, armory, mess hall, crew quarters, briefing rooms, washrooms, etc. A Cutlass Black, on the other hand, has 2 beds for its crew and some basic weapon lockers, but no toilet, no kitchen, no med bay, etc. But even a mighty Idris is not all powerful. It, for example, only has space in its hangar for 3 small fighters. It has no anti-capital ship-sized torpedoes, and it has none of the specialized features of ships such as the Pioneer, the Merchantman, the Kraken, or the Orion. It does, however, have more hangar space for fighters than a Javelin-class destroyer, which is a ship that costs twice as much. What all this means is that when selecting a ship to purchase, one must answer the 2 basic questions. How many friends or org mates can I bring to crew my ship? And what is it that I want to do in the game? A ship's ability to perform a job is largely dependent on its features and its facilities. These can be divided into 2 types, standard and specialized. Standard ship facilities and features are basically facilities and features that are available to just about every ship in the game and largely depend on size, where facilities increase with size. So solo ships are generally short range. They have no beds or facilities on board. They will specialize in a very specific role as the ones described earlier and will have very little or no cargo space. 1 to 2 cruise ships generally will have at least a bed, a toilet, weapon lockers. The Cutlass Red is the only exception here that also adds 2 Tier 3 medical beds on board. Small cruise ships, those that require 4 to 9 crew, which range generally in size from 50 meters to 150 meters, will have increasingly better onboard facilities and features. One of the smaller end of the scale, such as the Freelancer, the MSR, the 400i, the 600i, the Constellation series, these ships will have a cargo bay that can hold small amounts of cargo, or alternatively a ground vehicle or snub fighter. They will have more beds for the crew and start having things like a kitchen or mess hall, and dedicated crew quarters. At the largest end of the scale, such as the Carrack or the Liberator or Polaris, ships in this category will offer things such as armories, suit lockers, medical bays, drone rooms, and vaster cargo holds, ability to carry several smaller fighters or Nova tanks. Above this size, you get into capital class ships. These are ships that generally require at least 15 or more crew members. These ships will offer the same type of facilities as the smaller Corvette class ships, but at a larger scale. So for example, crew quarters will now have, say, 30 plus beds instead of 6, mess halls will be larger, you will have more med bay beds, cargo holds and hangars will be larger and accommodate more ships and vehicles. In addition to standard features and facilities which are common to all ships in Star Citizen and increase in size and scale and number as you increase in ship size, some ships in Star Citizen have special ship features and facilities which primarily or largely dictate their role. So some of these, for example, for mining ships will have mining lasers and special containers that hold mining ore. Interdiction ships will have quantum enforcement devices such as quantum snares and quantum dampeners. Bounty hunting and law enforcement ships will have prisoner cells on board. The Privateer is the only ship that we know about that has onboard manufacturing facilities to manufacture and build outposts and planetary bases. The Orion is the only ship that we know of that has an onboard refinery. The Kraken, Privateer, and the Banu Merchantman are the only two known ships to have shops and a marketplace on board to sell goods and services. Exploration ships normally have advanced and specialized scanning suits. The Crucible is the only ship that is known to have repair facilities on board. The Reclaimer is the only ship that is known to have salvage facilities. The Starfarer, Kraken, and Liberator are some of the few ships that have or likely will have the ability to resupply and or refuel other ships. So when it comes to deciding on which ship is right for you, you will need a ship that will have sufficient facilities and the right specialized tools to do what you want it to do in the game. As previously mentioned, you want a ship that is just large enough for a given task in crew size and not any more than that. In the next section, I will present to you a sample ship selection flowchart that will help give you an idea of the type of questions you need to ask yourself in order to determine which is the best ship for you. Alright, so here we have the ship selection flowchart, as I call it, to basically help us have a systematic way to ask certain questions and based on the answer come up with a short list of ships that may be best suited for what we're looking for. So, the first question would be, do you wish to engage in a special profession? So, for example, if you're interested in salvage, then you should go ahead and just purchase the Reclaimer, as it's the only ship right now that allows for that gameplay option. Even though it is not currently a gameplay feature in the alpha, it probably will be pretty soon. Second, we have the repair profession or role. So if in that case, you should probably just go ahead and purchase a Crucible, which is the only ship that I'm aware of that allows for repairing of other ships. If you're interested in search and rescue, purchasing the Cutlass Red is probably a good idea, as it's one of the very few ships that has a medical bay or medical beds that is smaller than a Carrack. Next, we have live bounty apprehension. So this is currently not a feature or gameplay feature or mechanic in the game in the alpha. But if once it does come, you will want to purchase an Anvil Hawk or a Cutlass Blue, as these ships have prisoner cells to be able to apprehend prisoners, whether it's for pirates or if you're law enforcement, or if you are a pirate yourself and you want to go in, or if you're bounty hunting, I guess. The next one is solo mining. So I mean, there's only one ship that does that, so it's the Prospector. If you want to do that, go buy one. And the next one is small crew mining. Again, similarly, it's the only ship that's available to do that is the Mole. It allows for you and a couple buddies to go mining together. And lastly, there we have the interdiction rule. So if you want to, pull people out of quantum with a quantum snare, the Mantis is the ship that's for you. If the answer is no to any of these questions, then we should go ahead and proceed to the capital class ships slide here. As in, if no, as in if you don't want, if none of these professions is something that you're looking for. All right, next up we have the question of, are you able to financially afford a capital ship, and does your org or group of friends need you to buy a capital ship? And the other question is, do you have access to at least 15 other players to crew the ship and its escort? So if the answer is yes to both of these questions, then the next question is, do you wish to engage in combat? If the answer is yes, then do you wish to land on planets and be able to log off? If the answer is yes, then the Javelin is definitely not the right ship for you because it can't do either. If the answer is no, then the next question is, can you field at least 30 human players as a crew? And if the answer is yes, then you can definitely go ahead and consider a Javelin. If the answer is no, do you wish to engage in close quarter combat? If the answer is yes, you then want to consider an Idris because it specializes in that. And if the answer is no, you want to consider a Kraken because it has the ability to deploy fighters and project power. And continuing on here, if your answer was yes, then the next question is, if you do you wish to engage in large-scale cargo hauling? If so, you should consider a hull D or a hull E. Otherwise, look at other capital ships or smaller ships that have the SCU capacity for cargo for your intended goals. The next question is, do you wish to do large-scale mining and refining? If so, there's only one ship for it, it's the Orion. Do you wish to operate a mobile market? If that's the case, you need to consider a merchantman or a Kraken privateer. I forgot to put it in here, but it also has a mobile market. It got shops. Do you wish to operate a planetary base or outpost building ship? Then the only ship that is able to do that is the Pioneer. It can't do it right now because it doesn't exist, but it will in the future. Do you wish to engage in exploration with only basic defense capability? In that case, consider an 890 jump. If the answer is no, then you should be considering a subcapital or corvette class ship instead. Here you'll need to ask again very similar questions that are applied to the corvette class. So are you able to financially afford a corvette class ship, and does your org or group of friends need you to buy one? Now here we're not talking about having to field 15 or plus people, and the cost of a corvette class ship are much lower than a capital class ship, but they're still much higher than your smaller ships. So it's still a valid question. And the second question is, do you have access to 4 to 9 players to crew the ship and its escort? These corvette class ships, you can't fly them on your own. They have turrets, or they need people to fly the ships that are on board of them, and operate the systems. Like, you just can't fly on your own. So if the answer is no, then you shouldn't even go ahead with the next set of questions. But if the answer is yes, then you can go ahead and say, do you wish to engage in heavy combat? If that's the case, further you need to ask one more further question is, do you wish to engage in anti-fighter combat or in close quarters? If you want to engage in if you want to engage an anti-fighter, you still have to go and ask yourself, do you prefer long-range combat or close quarters combat? If it's long range, you should consider a Liberator because it has the ability to field 3 fighters at least, minimum, and be able to project that power and use your fighters to engage in combat. Otherwise, if you're not interested in that type of gameplay and you want to engage in close quarters combat, then you should consider a Hammerhead, which is an absolute beast in close quarters anti-fighter combat, or if you want to be able to screen like a capital fleet, against incoming torpedoes, that sounds super cool. The Hammerhead is definitely the ship that excels at that. Next, do you wish to engage in anti-capital ship combat? That's a whole different kind of ball game. A Hammerhead or a Liberator, probably not the best ship for that. If you want an anti-capital ship, you have to ask the same question. If you prefer long-range combat, then you should consider a Polaris, which has those size 10 torpedoes that will wreck capital ships. And if you want to go into close quarters combat, you probably want to consider the Perseus at this class of in this category of corvette class ships, because it has those 4 size 7 guns on it that can punch through capital ships' shields. Next up in the questions is if you're not interested in combat at all, then you need to answer these following next questions. Do you wish to engage in medium-scale cargo hauling? Then you should consider buying a Hull C, which is a great, medium-sized cargo hauler. Do you wish to operate a mobile marketplace? Then you should consider, buying a Banu Merchantman, which I didn't know was considered like a capital class ship. I thought it was a capital ship, but it's definitely not. It's considered a larger subcapital class ship. And if that doesn't float your boat, do you wish to avoid heavy combat and looking for just exploration with basic self-defense capability? Then you should consider a Carrack, which can house 1 Buccaneer in its hangar bay and 2 snub fighters in its cargo bay. And it can be quite a formidable little ship there, and it has great features for exploration. So if you are not able to field 4 to 9 players, well, then your answer is going to be no to those questions, and then you have to ask your next question is can you field a maximum of 1 to 5 human players, right? And so for this size of crew, then you have to ask the similar questions. You wish to engage in heavy combat? If your answer is yes, do you wish to engage in close quarters combat? Then you should consider a Redeemer, because it is going to be a 5 crew heavy gunship. If you want to engage in long range combat, then with that size of a crew of 5 to 6 players, you probably want to consider a Retaliator. Next up, the question is, are you okay with basic self-defense and light combat for your daily driver or multi-role ship? Is that what you're looking for? Then you should consider the Corsair or Constellation Andromeda, which in my opinion are the 2 best ships in this category. If the answer is no and you want a solo ship, then you should go to the next set of questions, or we will go to the next set of questions that cover solo ships. And the reason for that is, some of these are borderline. That's why I say 1 to 5 human players. You can fly a Retaliator on your own and just go and torpedo things, and you can probably fly a Corsair or a Constellation on your own. They've got a lot of forward-facing guns, but they don't reach their full potential. And if you're flying something that doesn't reach its full potential, then it goes back to that question: is why just go for the ship that you can crew and reach its full potential. If Otherwise, just go for a smaller ship that can do the same thing or something similar. Or just risk being, ambushed by pirates, and then you're gonna be on your own in a redeemer or in a retaliator, and you're gonna be screwed. So I guess the choice is yours, but the recommendation is there for a reason. All right, so we went through all the questions, and you've determined that you don't want to go fly with friends, and you want a solo ship. So here are all the questions for solo ships. Number 1, do you wish to engage in anti-fighter combat? And do you want it to be long range? If no, then you can just choose any light or medium fighter. If the answer is yes, you should probably choose a Vanguard because it has a bit more range. It's got, those size 2 quantums, and as opposed to the size 1s of, those smaller fighters. Next question is, do you wish to engage in anti-capital ship combat? Because let me tell you, a Gladius will not be able to take down a Hammerhead. Ask me how I know. Or you can, it just takes about 30 minutes, and it is an NPC like Hammerhead, not a player Hammerhead. So then you should ask yourself the next question, which is, are you carrier based? Carrier based meaning a ship that can accommodate these short range fighters that need to be smaller. If so, you probably want to have choose a Gladiator, a Vanguard if it can fit, or an Eclipse, depending on the size available and whatever is carrying you. A Kraken can handle Vanguards, maybe in Eclipses, but a Liberator might only handle Gladiators, right? And if you're not worried about that, then choose a Retaliator because it is a strategic bomber and has longer range. And if you're not interested in combat at all, then do you wish to haul cargo? If the answer is yes, choose a Caterpillar or C2 Hercules. Cat has, I don't know, was it 400, 500 SCU, and the SC2 has like close to 700 SCU. So yeah, you'll be vulnerable. They are multi-crew ships, but they can be flown solo, and if you want to risk it, just go for it, right? If I had to haul a whole bunch of cargo, I would probably choose one of these. You could choose a smaller vehicle like Freelancer Max or Constellation Taurus or something. It's up to you how much SCU you need, but these are probably the best ships because they can have the highest amount of SCU for a solo player. Next up is, do you want to a solo multi-role daily driver with limited combat and cargo capabilities? And if so, I believe that the best ship for that is the Cutlass Black. I absolutely love that ship and highly recommend it, especially to new players. So let's go ahead and kind of summarize that whole flowchart into just a list, right? A list of what would be kind of like the better or obvious ships based on what you want to do. Now the first group here is the solo ships, and I would recommend to buy these in game unless they're not available in game, and in which case you want to probably buy them on the pledge store when they go on sale. You have to go on the to New Deal or to the shops in game, see what's available, make a list and know what is and isn't available, and go from there. If you want a certain ship and it's not available in game, then obviously you need to buy it at this IAE coming up. So having said that, so we got the Cutlass Blue is the ship you would want for what I call live bounty apprehensions, right? That would be my ship of choice for that, because it has the ability to do quantum dampening, and it's got the onboard prison cells and those super cool lights, emergency vehicle lights. Next we got the Mantis, which would be super fun I bet for interdiction, if that's the ship of choice for that. You want to pull people out of quantum. I really want to go and try that. Next we got the Cutlass Red, search and rescue. It's got those medical beds, you know. It's probably not the most expensive ship. It's very approachable, affordable. So that's that. If you want to do that, get the Cutlass Red. If you want to go solo mining, buy the Prospector. If you want multi-crew mining, buy them all. If you want a solo multi-role daily driver, nothing better than a Cutlass Black. If you want to do solo, short range, or carrier based anti-fighter combat, then any of the light or medium fighters will do, you know. So go for whatever you like most and whatever feels best. Go out there, do some PvP, do some bounties, and figure out what you love most. Next, if you want solo long range anti-fighter combat, well, then you need probably a Vanguard. You know, they've got those size 2 components, so it will go further. If you want solo short range carrier based anti-capital ship combat, that's a mouthful, you probably want a Gladiator. And if you want a solo carrier based long range anti-capital ship combat, you want a Vanguard Harbinger. And if you don't care about being carried by any other ship, then you probably want a Retaliator for anti-capital ship combat. And lastly, you know, if you want to do solo cargo hauling, as we mentioned, I would pick the Caterpillar or the C2 Hercules. Next up, we got the medium ships. So what I would think is, you know, 5 to 6 crew. These I would either pledge or buy in game, depending on you know, when they're available, how much patience I have to grind them in game, and so on. These take a bit longer to grind. I mean, a Connie is what 3.5-4 million. Retaliator is 4 million. It's not the end of the world. It's not too hard to grind, but it is a grind, right? So up to you. The Redeemer, for example, won't be available. Will be available in 3.15 here, and at IAE, and probably won't be available in game for a while. So if you want it now, you gotta buy it. But yeah, so I would pick the Constellation Andromeda or Corsair as my multi-role daily driver. I think these are, I'm definitely gonna buy one of these, if not both. Fucking freaking amazing ships. The Redeemer for close quarter combat. The Retaliator for long range anti-capital ship or close quarters combat, because it does have, what is it, 5 turrets, 5 or 6, I can't remember. So yeah, it can do the job. Next up, we got the Corvette class ships, crews of 4 to 9. These ones I would probably pledge, because they're not available in the game, or if they are, I don't know, Carrack is what, 26 million AUAC. I mean, that's a lot of AUEC, so I mean, it's possible. A Hammerhead is 12 million AUEC, so I would probably consider grinding that one instead of buying it and go for the Carrack instead. But anyways, Carrack, it would be for my long range exploration multi-role in light combat. It's kind of the all-rounder. Hammerhead for close quarters anti-fighter combat. Polaris for long range anti-capital ship combat. The Perseus for close quarters anti-capital ship combat. The Liberator for combat oriented multi-role. Can do a whole bunch of things, but is you know, with those fighters on board, can really get into combat and project that power, especially if CIG will allow us to put more than 3 fighters on it. Next we got the Hull C for medium cargo hauling, and the Merchantman for mobile marketplace. Lastly, we have the Capital class ships, which are, let's say, 10 to 15 crew. Crew count includes small escort fleet. Yeah, probably more than that, right? I mean, I'm being conservative here. These you want to pledge. They're gonna cost, first of all, most of them are not all of them are not available in game. So if you want to get a good price on them, probably want to pledge now if you're willing to wait for them. Yeah, I mean, these are probably the ones that are worth pledging over, you know, because it's gonna take so long to grind the money to get one of these in game, unless you do it as a group and you buy it as an org. If that's the case, then that's probably a better option for the majority of people. But if some of these are your dream ship and you want to have your own crew and you wanna dictate how things are gonna get, you wanna run the show, then go ahead, pledge for it. So the Idris, probably close quarters combat and limited multi-role, for example, high value cargo. The Kraken for long range combat and multi-role, including cargo, mobile marketplace, and ship repair, refuel, and resupply services. The Orion for mining and refining. The Hull D or E for large scale cargo hauling, and the Pioneer for planetary outpost base building. Lastly, if you can manage to put 30 to 40 people online into a single ship, well, go for the Javelin. It is the biggest, baddest ship in the game that any player can own. So somebody's got to do it, right? And when you do, please invite me aboard. I can't wait to, you know, be on a Javelin's bridge, shoot those, you know, those guns, and just walk around the ship. I feel it's going to be amazing. Can't wait for it. All right, well, that covers the flowchart and the overview of Star Citizen ships. And at this point, I guess I will share my own dream fleet, what I, you know, based on my own personal desires and goals for this game, as you can see from the slide here. So I've grouped it into solo and small crew, large crew, capital ships. You know, a red star means it's my dream ship. Yellow star means it's my favorite ships. Red text means I'm very interested in pledging for this ship, like highly likely to pledge it for it. Yellow means I'm on the fence about pledging, and green means I have pledged for it. So as you can see, the only ship that I have pledged is the Gladius. And just going through the rest of my solo list of ships I would like a Vanguard Sentinel for fighter combat. A Cutlass Black would be my daily driver, Prospector for going out solo mining. The Hercules or Caterpillar, haven't decided which, would be my ship of choice for cargo hauling. The Mantis is because I can't wait to actually go and try interdiction. I'm just pulling people out of Quantum. I don't know if it works properly, but I am definitely going to try it out in 315. The Arrow, the Hornet, the Buccaneer, and the Saber, you know, I love all these fighters. The Hornet Buccaneer is some of my favorite. The Arrow is one of those dream ships, you know. Then we've got the Mole for that multi-crew mining. I would use the Cutlass Blue in a future state of the game for, you know, that bounty hunting gameplay. The Cutlass Red, you know, in case you know, my org or somebody needs help, you know, would like to have that. Not on my top priority list. The Vanguard Harbinger fighter bomber. This is one of my dream ships, in theory. You know, I don't know how things are going to turn out with torpedoes and missiles and all of that, but in concept and on paper, it is one of my dream ships, and I do enjoy the Vanguard series very much. Next up, we've got the Gladiator, you know, in case I gotta fit one of those fighter bombers into a tight space. And the Eclipse is just a freaking awesome stealth bomber. Would be great to see how stealth works out in the future, and you know, going on those stealth bombing runs. So it just sounds super cool, super cool. Next, we've got the 1 to 6 crew category. Here, I would have a Retaliator. I would use it as a solo bomber, or I would crew it up with a bunch of people and go smash things. Right? A great ship. I love the look of that ship. One of my favorite ships in the game. Next up, we got the 3 to 5 crew. So, for those, you and a couple of friends. So that would be the Corsair, which would be my daily driver when it does come out. The Constellation Andromeda, love them both for different reasons. Same thing. The Redeemer would be like the, hey, let's go and get into some combat with a bunch of friends, couple of friends. Looks like a great ship to do that. It's like a mini Hammerhead. The Perseus, I'm not really too sure about. It really seems like it might be underpowered for what it's intended, which is shooting capital ships. But I'm gonna reserve judgment until it comes out in the game, but it's definitely not something I'm gonna pledge for at this point. Then we've got the Corvette class, so the 4 to 9 crews. So the Carrack, you see there red star and red text. So it's definitely a ship that I'm probably gonna buy in this coming up IAE. And the Liberator. Both of these are just phenomenal ships for different reasons. The Carrack has got that extra little bit of facilities on board and beds. The Liberator has, that extra cargo and ship carrying capacity, which is crazy, for the size. Just awesome ships. So many gameplay options with these two ships. So, not sure if I'm going to pledge both in this year, but we'll see. Next, we've got the Polaris. This one is a red star, but a yellow, on the fence. Because, they cost money. Cost a lot of money, these ships. So, gonna have to pick and choose and spread it out. Especially for a ship that's not out yet, right? Like, the Carrack is out. So, Polaris is just great ship. I think it's a mini Idris, and it would be great for when you can pull like 9 to 10 crew. This is the ship you want to be in. I can't see any other ship that you want to be in with about 10 people. Next, you got the Hammerhead. What can I say? It's a great ship for great fun for going turreting and then shooting things. And it only needs like about 7 crew, so it's not, you need 7 crew. But it's not on my priorities. It's something I would probably buy in game. The Hull C is probably like a long-term goal, if I ever decide that I want to be able to hold cargo as just to do something different in the game. That's just not my priority. It's not my preference. Preferred profession, but I think it looks really cool as a ship and can be really useful and fun to try it out. Next up, we've got the capital ships. So if I can manage to get 15 friends, to help me crew these, the Kraken is definitely a red star. Red, very interested. I'm gonna freaking pledge for this ship at some point. Maybe not now, because whenever I have like freaking $1,600 to throw away, which I will probably wait for the game to really develop more before I do throw that kind of money at it. It really has to prove itself to me a bit more. But it is my dream ship. That's like my number one dream ship. Next up, we've got the Idris, which is another dream ship. I can't imagine that another ship that would be more fun than an Idris. And lastly, we got the 890 Jump. And the only reason I would consider this at this point is just to experience capital ship gameplay while waiting who knows how long for the other ships to come out. so questionable whether a Carrack can give me that same feel as an 890 jump, you know. Yeah, definitely on the fence about this. Not sure if I really want to spend any money on it. It might be one of those like super grind goals in the game. What is it, 32 million in game? Anyways, that's that. The ones I'm not interested is the Orion, because not interested in mining at that scale. Hull D or E, not interested. If I wanted to haul things, I'll do it at Hull C. Pioneer sounds really cool. I would love for my orc to have it, but not me. Same with the Javelin. It's just too much ship. Like an Idris or a Kraken can do give me the same experience without the headaches. Alright, well, coming up on almost 15 minutes on this video, and so time to wrap wrap things up. So I wanted to conclude by showing you what's the inspiration and what's the reason behind some of my dream ships that I've highlighted in red stars in my previous slide. So, you know, the Gladius and the Arrow are kind of my dream ships because of my love for you know, the Viper from Battlestar Galactica, or the small starfighters such as the X-Wing from Star Wars. You know, I've always been so fascinated by something that is so small, that is smaller than the size of a modern jet fighter. And yet, you know, our jet fighter is like an F-16. These are probably the size of an F-16. And an F-16 has like, what, a service ceiling of like 50,000 feet. Like, it can't go above that, you know. And it can maybe push like Mach 1.8. That's it. And if it tries to go at Mach 1.8, you know, it's going to run out of fuel like in, what, 10 minutes, 15? And this is, you know, that's what it's crazy. I always thought it's crazy that, you know, of the idea of a single-seater ship like this that can, you know, leave the atmosphere of a planet. And, you know, in the case of an X-Wing, I mean, Vipers, you know, could not travel faster than light. You know, the Raptors in Battlestar Galactica could make jumps, but, you know, an X-Wing can. X-Wing could enter hyperspace. So, and similar to, you know, like the Gladius and the Arrow, you know, they can enter quantum. They don't have crazy range, but they can, you know. And that's just awesome that I can kind of live some of these things that I've seen on TV shows and movies, that I can live them in a game. It's just amazing to me. Next up, we've got you know, the Cutlass Black and the Vanguard Harbinger. You know, again, thinking of a ship like the Raptor, just awesome that in such a small package, you know, you can have several people in there. You know, you can jump faster than light, and you know, leave a planet, go to another solar system. It's just crazy awesome. Just love these two ships. Next up, we've got the Carrack and the Polaris. You know, I've just recently finished watching Firefly and all 5 seasons of The Expanse in preparation for season 6 of The Expanse, which is coming out in December. And The Expanse being my favorite all-time show, by the way. And I always thought like I wanted to be like the captain or the crew of the Firefly or the Rocinante, right? The Firefly being a cargo hauler, like multi-role ship with no weapons on it, kind of like the Carrack, right? Carrack actually has weapons on it, but you know, it's not the strongest ship. And it's got that front ramp just like the Serenity, from Firefly has. It has a little vehicle, same with the Carrack. You can have that little buggy to go out on the planet, same as in Firefly. It's got all the facilities and everything. It's very similar. It's not quite the same. I mean, the thing about the Firefly class is it has 5 crew compartments or 5 crew quarters, and it's got, I think, 9 guest quarters that can host 18 people. And there's really no ship like it in Star Citizen. All ships in Star Citizen even have like 1 crew quarter with like a whole bunch of beds in it. Or that's it, like the captain's quarters. The only ship that is not kind of very similar to that is the Corsair, which actually is the only ship in Star Citizen that actually has 4 separate personal crew quarters for the 4 people that are on board that ship. So that's the closest, but it's much a smaller ship. So maybe the Crucible, you could say, is closer to Firefly, but size wise this guy is. As for the Rocinante, I mean, there's nothing like it in Star Citizen either. The Rossi has all of these automated point defense turrets, like PDCs, point defense cannons. I think it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 of them. It's got massive rail guns in front, and it's got a whole bunch of like torpedoes, like crazy good torpedoes. The Rossi has a med bay in it. It has a gym. It's got personal quarters. It's got a mess hall, like everything. It's just got everything. So I think the Polaris might be something close to it. I mean, it's got turrets on it. I don't know if it's got point defense turrets, or if any of them can be automated in the future. I'll be kind of close to it. It has all those size 10 torpedoes, so definitely, torpedoes are such a big thing in Expanse, and so that's as close as you get here. You get all those torpedoes. I think it's also got missiles. No railgun though. So no railgun, and an Idris is definitely way too big to be a Rossi, right? So there you have it. And finally, we have the Idris and the Kraken. And the reason these are kind of dream ships for me is I'm thinking Battlestar Galactica. So here we have a Valkyrie class Battlestar. So you've got a ship that has all of these turrets and guns on it, plus it's got the 2 flight pods that can launch fighters from it. And I just always thought it was so cool. I'm a huge fan of Battlestar Galactica, and I feel Star Citizen is one of those games that will allow you to relive Battlestar Galactica and Expanse and Firefly, and to relive the Battlestar Galactica type of environment. If you want to be a pilot or like an officer on the ship, well, the Idris is it's got all the guns. It's got rail guns. I think the Battlestars had rail guns too, at least the bigger ones. It's got the rail guns, and it's heavily armored, just like the Battlestars. The only difference is a Battlestar could launch like several squadrons of Vipers, and here we only have 3. But yeah, it's just close enough. The Kraken, on the other hand, can launch probably several squadrons if they allow you to like fit anything on here, and they don't force you to have just 6 fighters. But it is not as armored as this. But it's just less armored, but it still have lots of guns, no railgun. So maybe I would say the Kraken is actually the closest to Battlestar, more than the Idris. But both of them would be kind of like my dream ships for that reason too. And my goal is, or my hope is that one day I can experience all of the things that I love about Battlestar Galactica, the Expanse, and Firefly, and experience them in Star Citizen. Alright folks, well there you have it. Those are my dream ships, my dream list, and the flowchart. We've looked at you know, all the different ship selection criteria, and yeah, we're actually coming up on an hour, so I'm gonna end the video right here. I do hope that it was useful to you and that it will help you make a better decision at the International Aerospace Expo 2951 coming up here on November 19th. I hope you get your you make the right decision and you get your dream ship, and I will see you in the verse, everyone. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe and comment. I'd like to hear your comments on what ships, what's your criteria and what are your favorite ships. And also any constructive criticism. You know, I'm still new to this, making videos, and I'm a new content creator. So please forgive some of my mistakes, and please let me know what I can do to improve. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I shall see you on the next video. Thanks and bye.
Captain, inbound vessel approaching defense perimeter. 1 minute to contact.
Hail them.
Frequency's open.
Unidentified vessel. This is Captain Teresa Yao of the MCRN Donager. This is your final warning. If you maintain your present course, you will be fired upon.
They're jamming us.
Multiple fast movers detected.
More than one ship. I count 6 bandits.
Missile launch alert.
Sound general quarters. All hands battle stations. Prepare to return fire.
Torpedoes are away. Guidance lock on all targets.
46. Let's get rivets up on 2 and 3.
Well, whoever they are, and whatever they've come to do, it's just become a suicide mission. They started this fight, and we're going to finish it.
Incoming targets at 15. Let's get a visual readout on this. 42, 15, 12, and 42 target launch.
You look nervous.
Get that way when missiles are flying at me.
33.8.
Don't worry. It's nothing our guns can't handle.
PDC's ready? All arrays are online and standing by.
Copy that.
I hope you enjoy the show.
Just a full count to evasion.
Lock PDCs and engage.
Signal.
PDCs are go.
All incoming warheads are launched target.
Splash 1. 5 more to go.
Enemy ships approaching railgun range. Set target acquisition refresh to maximum.
Is there a problem?
No, sir. It's just their Torp's guidance systems are really good. Better than anything we ever simmed against. They're pushing our PDCs to the limit.
Impact on main reactor housing.
Captain, enemy ships are now inside guided missile range. Torpedoes will no longer be effective.
Enough of this. Bring up the railguns. Let's finish this and go home.
Aye, sir. Diverting power to railguns. They've got railguns too. Never seen them on ships this size.
I think they're diverting power to the railguns. That means we're in CQB.
What the hell is CQB?
Close quarter battle.
Who would be insane enough to take on the Donager in CQB?
God damn it, let me out of this chair. I don't need to be here. Put me back with my people.
Keep him quiet or gag him. I want IDs. We need to know their capabilities.
I'm sorry, sir, but there's nothing matching their profile in MCRN or UN records.
Isolate each vessel. I want detailed imagery and drive signatures on every one of them.
I've seen a ship like that before.
Flash 3 and 4.
Lieutenant, the main drive is overloading. We have to shut it down.
Guys?
Drives out.
Good. Oh, this ain't good at all.
You know, for a badass Mickey Navy boy, you're a pretty whiny little bitch.
I was just a transport pilot, you yahoo. You understand? I wasn't trained for this shit. Just a glorified bus driver, okay? You satisfied? Oh, man, this is not supposed to be happening.
You know what really chaps my ass? The fact that I'm here protecting some lousy earth taker while my ship's getting pounded and my buddies are dying.
Then why don't you go help them? And let me go help mine.
We have our orders. Duty means something on Mars. I'd be happy to let you go. I heard you and your friends are responsible for Phoebe.
I know nothing about Phoebe. Why don't you just ask him?
Fall back and cover!
Holden, get back and stay back! And stay down! Holden, stop! God damn it, Holden, get back here!